Hello, today we continue our daily reading from the Apocrypha. We are reading from the book of Enoch, chapter 13, and it reads as follows. And Enoch went and said, Azazel, you will have no peace, a severe sentence has gone out against you to put you in bonds, and you will not have toleration nor request granted to you because of the unrighteousness which you have taught, and because of all the works of godlessness and unrighteousness and sin which you have shown to men. Then I went and spoke to them all together, and they were all afraid, and fear and trembling seized them. And they besought me to draw up a petition for them, that they might find forgiveness and to reach their petition in the presence of the Lord of heaven, for whom that point forward they could not speak with him, nor lift up their eyes to heaven for shame of their sins, for which they had been condemned. Then I wrote out their petition and the prayer in regard to their spirits and their deeds individually, and in regard to their request that they should have forgiveness and length. And I went off and sat down in the waters of Dan, in the land of Dan, to the south of the west of Hermon. I read their petition until I fell asleep, and behold, a dream came to me. And visions fell down upon me, and I saw visions of chastisement, and a voice came bidding me to tell it to the sons of heaven and reprimand them. And when I awaked, I came unto them, and they were all sitting gathered together, weeping in Abalazajali, which is between Lebanon and Sinzanner, with their faces covered, and I recounted before them all the visions which I had seen in sleep, and I began to speak the words of righteousness and to reprimand the heavenly watchers. Chapter 14. The book of the words of righteousness and the reprimand of the eternal watchers in accordance with the command of the Holy Great One in that vision. I saw in my sleep what I will now say with the tongue of flesh and with the breath of my mouth, which the Great One has given to men to converse therewith and understand with the heart, as he has created and given to man the power of understanding the word of wisdom, so has he created also and given me the power of reprimanding the watchers, the children of heaven. I wrote out your petition, and in my vision it appeared like this, that your petition will not be granted unto you throughout all the days of eternity, and that judgment has been finally passed upon you. Yea, your petition will not be granted unto you. And from now on you will not ascend into heaven unto all eternity, and in bonds of the earth a decree has gone out to bind you for all the days of the world, and that previously you will have seen the destruction of your beloved sons, and you will have no pleasure in them, but they will fall before you by the sword. And your petition on their behalf will not be granted, nor yet on your own, even though you weep and pray and speak all the words contained in the writing which I have written. And the vision was shown to me like this. Behold, in the vision clouds invited me, and a mist summoned me, and the course of the stars and the lightning sped toward me, and the winds in the vision caused me to fly and lifted me upward and bore me into heaven. And I went in until I drew nigh to a wall which is built of crystals and surrounded by tongues of fire, and it began to affright me. And I went into the tongues of fire and drew nigh to a large house which was built of crystals, and the walls of the house were like a tessellated floor made of crystals, and its groundwork was of crystal. Its ceiling was like the path of the stars and the lightning, and between them were fiery cherubim, and their heaven was clear as water. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its portals blazed with fire. And I entered into that house, and it was hot as fire and cold as ice. There were no delights of life therein. Fear covered me, and trembling got a hold upon me. And as I quaked and trembled, I fell upon my face, and I beheld a vision, and behold, there was a second house, greater than the former, and the entire portal stood open before me, and it was built of flames of fire, and in every respect it so excelled in splendor and magnificence and extent that I cannot describe to you its splendor and its extent. And its floor was of fire, and above it were lightnings of and the path of the stars, and its ceiling also was flaming fire. And I looked and saw therein a lofty throne. Its appearance was a crystal, and the wheels thereof as a shining sun, and there was the vision of cherubim. And from underneath the throne came streams of flaming fire, so that I could not look thereon. And the great glory sat thereon, and his raiment shone more brightly than the sun, and was whiter than any snow. None of the angels could enter, and could behold his face by reason of the magnificence and glory, and no flesh could behold him. The flaming fire was around him, and a great fire stood before him, and none around could draw nigh him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, yet he needed no counselor. And the most holy ones who were nigh to him did not leave by night nor depart from him. And until then I had been prostrate on my face, trembling. And the Lord called me with his own mouth and said to me, Come here, Enoch, and hear my word. And one of the holy ones came to me and walked to me and waked me. And he made me rise up and approach the door, and I bowed my face downward. Amen.